I'm sure you've been a lot of places, right?
I've been traveling for a long time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I've been to many places, because I have a romantic view of what travel is or should be, or at least like for me. I always been fascinated by how the experience of travel was in the late 1800s, where mass tourism was not a thing and access to travel was not as easy, mostly in terms of how fast can you travel. In the past, the case was that like if you want to travel to overseas to a different country, it took like weeks or months, and that is what I call travel, not reaching the destination, but everything that is in between from when you leave to when you get there. I personally don't care much for reaching the destination, because to me that's when the travel ends. So I like the process, and I like discovering what happens in the middle. That's why I love traveling by land, and I avoid as much as I can flying. I discovered that when I first drove from Sicily to France. I had a clearer vision of how everything was changing slowly, but in a clear direction. My way of traveling is more about a network of people and friends.
That's very profound on several levels. The biggest one to me is that it's kind of a metaphor for thinking in general and philosophy, right? I think that a lot of times, especially these days, people are focused on answers. And there was recently a study that came out that said people will form opinions on things that they have no previous experience with like under 5 seconds. And philosophy, the whole idea of it is we never find any answers. When we're talking about God or knowledge or time, there's no answers to those questions, but it's the journey of it. It's the probing of those things and thinking about them along the way and going through the process. That's the enjoyable part of it.
If you do find answers, you're doing philosophy wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's not, physical travel is the same way. And like you said, when you're experiencing it the way that you do, that whole idea of borders, it's different from looking at a globe, right? You look at a globe and you have these clear-cut things. But when you're living with the people, what you realize is that, things aren't as different right here as they are 5 miles across the border. Just because this is the separation between this country and that country, the people are much more complex than a label of where they live,
That's why I don't think like what defines a person is like the GPS coordinates where they are born. You're a person who happened to be born in a certain country. It's not that should be the defining factor of who you are.
Do you think that a need for homeostasis drives us one way or the other when it comes to searching for the unknown versus stability, or do you think it's a conscious choice? So we kind of covered this a little bit, right? We have this idea of an equilibrium, of things staying the same. And that sort of is human nature. We like to have that. But do you think that that's what drives these sorts of things? Or do you think that people make the conscious choice that I want to go explore something, or I want to have a stable life? Or do you think it's something that's more in the background?
Are we getting into free will? People make conscious choices, or is that a thing even? I don't believe in right and wrong or good and bad in general as concepts, which is something that generally horrifies people. I think that every action taken by any person at any given moment is correct only under those exact circumstances. I still have the right to change my mind and change idea, but that doesn't mean that what I was thinking was wrong. It's simply that was correct back then, and what I think now is correct now. Who I am, my personality, my actions, everything is dictated by the experiences that I had and how I've processed those experiences, which depends on what opportunities I had during my life and how my brain works. Each person lives their life in a different way. Everyone has their own experience, and based on that, they make their decisions, which are the best possible decisions for them at that point in their lives. When you start thinking in an analytic way about everything, literally everything, and you stop giving everything for granted, just question everything, that's when you are able to do decisions that... I don't know if this answers your questions. I went like it's just far off, but...
No, I think that, yeah, it's great. And I think that you have a good point. searching for the unknown and exploring versus living a stable life, if those are how they're influenced. And I think that you answered it pretty well, which is that um, if you live an unreflected on life, right? If you're just going through life, I think you're going to tend towards wanting stability, wanting things to be remaining the same. If you're somebody who is analytical, and you're doing a lot of self-reflection, and you're wondering about some of these bigger questions, what's the meaning of life? Why are we doing all this stuff? I think that you're tending to be somebody who is going to want to explore, going to want to search for the unknown, and do those sorts of things.